What's up, guys? How's it going? Really exciting news. Recently, Nintendo filed a trademark and patent in Japan for the N64 controller. Now, why is this significant? You're probably wondering. Well, it could mean that they are planning to release an N64 Mini coming up soon. This is the same move they made when they released the NES Mini several years ago. They did a patent for the NES controller, and they did the same thing for the Super Nintendo controller in Japan. So this could be the most logical step, would be to release the N64 Mini. There's a couple hiccups though. The N64 is a lot more difficult to emulate for than both the NES and Super Nintendo. It's definitely possible through Raspberry Pi. The Odroid's pretty good as well. Well, as some of you guys may be aware, the inside hardware of both the Minis previously is basically like a Raspberry Pi. It's an emulation. It's not there's no really hard hardware. There's not any like complicated hardware in there. It's just basically a Raspberry Pi unit board, essentially. So there's that. So the emulation currently on the Raspberry Pi, in some games it's pretty decent, in other games not quite so good. So hopefully they can get the emulation quite better, and Nintendo standards obviously to work for the Mini. Another thing is, I love the N64, don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite systems, retro consoles, great console. But outside of first-party support and Rare, there's not many third-party games that were huge successes or huge hits for Nintendo. There's some exceptions to the rules, but obviously Rare had a ton of them. But the problem with Rare is Microsoft actually owns Rare now. So games like GoldenEye, 007, Killer Instinct, Diddy Kong Racing, Conker's Revenge, all those games were produced by Rare. So I'd be very surprised if any of those games made it to the list of games for the N64 Mini. So I love the N64 because it really introduced us to their controller was groundbreaking. I didn't really care for the controller when it first came out, to be honest, because it was kind of awkward because you can hold it in like 3 different ways. And it did come with an analog stick, kind of introduced that, which is obviously still huge today. Had the roaming pack, which introduced that. Very groundbreaking for controller standards today. And I just, looking back on the N64, there's so many great games that even when I was a kid, I didn't get a chance to play when I was a kid, but I'm playing now, that I really appreciate and have timed really well over the years. So whether the Mini comes out or not, I really recommend, if you don't own an N64 system, I highly recommend you guys pick one up, because it is a system that you can collect for, and it is getting more hot, just like the NES, of course, and because it's Nintendo. But the games aren't crazy expensive like the NES games, for example, are today. So because of this, I was thinking, what are some games that I would love to see built in and come with the N64 Mini if this were to produce? And please, I ask you guys, if you guys are interested, to share your list. What are some games you'd like to have included in the N64 Mini? Please leave a comment below. I'd love to read your list. I'm sure others people as well. For me, I have a list right here I'm going to go over with you, and these are not in any particular order. I love Donkey Kong 64. It's a great game, a very unique Donkey Kong game. I definitely would love that. Both Zelda games, of course, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. Ocarina of Time, I think, is obviously one of my favorite Zelda games of all time. I still think Link to the Past is maybe a little bit bigger, or better, in my personal opinion. I know that's a lot of people may disagree on that, but still a great Zelda game. Both are good. I'd love to see those ported, and I think they will be if they were to come out with this. Perfect Dark, great first-person shooter. Again, that's a Rare title. I'd be surprised if it was ported to the N64 Mini. Banjo-Kazooie, another Rare title, unfortunately. Great one. Paper Mario, really fun RPG. Highly recommend it. Super Mario 64. I can almost guarantee you, if the N64 Mini were to come out, I'd be really surprised if Super Mario 64 was not a built-in game. It was one of the early games come out for the system. It was a game. It was a launch title, and it really revolutionized Super Mario games moving forward. Mario Odyssey, for example, wouldn't be out. Another one. So first 3D style Super Mario game for consoles. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Again, it's another Rare title, but still love that game. 007, another Rare title. Smash Brothers. I'd love to see this in the pack, only because of Smash Brothers. It's a huge series, and I know it appealed to a lot of people. I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I know a lot of people, I may lose subscribers over saying this, and I might get people to be upset me saying this personally, but I'm not a huge Smash Brothers fan. It's not my type of fighting game. I prefer the old style one-on-one, rounds, 2 rounds, whatever. It's just so different to me. I haven't really gotten into it. But because of Smash Brothers, because it's the first one in the series, and it's such a huge series even today, I'd be surprised if Smash was not in there. Star Fox 64, another great game. F-Zero X, Kirby 64, Diddy Kong Racing, love that racing. It's a great game. Same with Super Mario Kart 64. It's another one I'd love to see in there. let's see, Mario Party. Any of the Mario Party games are great. I'd love to see any of those included. Let's see, Star Fox would be awesome. You know, I'd love to see Star Wars Rogue Squadron. It's one of my favorite Star Wars games on the system. You get that expansion pack, and it kind of makes graphics look a little bit more better. I'd love to see that. Shadow of the Empire, another great one. There's several good Star Wars games. Pod Racer is a good one. And then there's also the Naboo game, would be awesome. Killer Instinct Gold, another rare game, but still a great fighter. Let's see, Mario Golf would be awesome. Mega Man 64 would be phenomenal. Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' Exotica, any of the cruising games were fun games. I remember playing those and racing. It was almost arcade perfect. There was a lot of fog and all that in the home port, but almost arcade perfect. Bomberman 64, great game to play in groups. Tony Hawk, any of those games were fun, great games. Pilot Wings, Wave Race, San Francisco Rush 2049 is a great arcade port. Yoshi's Story, Excite Bike 64, and that kind of concludes my list. I'm sure I've missed a ton of good ones. There's a lot, but majority of those games I just named are either rare titles or Mario First Person, or I'm sorry, Nintendo First Party. So we'll see. I don't know. Other than Mega Man 64 is Capcom, of course, but I would love to see any of those games. And let me know what your guys' list is. Let me know what you think of the news of a potential N64 Mini would be. Would you get one? What would be the right price point? You pick up, I think, 50 to 60 would probably be pretty decent if it came with like 30 games plus. I think that'd be pretty decent. The controller itself, the size of the controller, is nearly the size of what the system's probably going to be, because the controller is pretty big and bulky, and I hope it'll have like 4 controller ports like the original N64. It'll probably come with 1 controller. I'd be surprised if it came with 2. That'd be awesome if it did. The Super Nintendo Mini came with 2, so that's a bonus. And I'm curious if they're going to sell the controller separately as well, in case you want to play 4-player. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. That means a lot to me. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care. And, of course, game on.